Goodfellas is a movie in which a lot of new ground was broken. Martin Scorsese is the undisputed champion of the mean streets, the Goodfellas and the casinos. So going into that, we're gonna like look at a scene. We're gonna look at a scene, one of the most iconic ones in the history of cinema, perhaps. We're gonna look at that shot, that scene, and then we're gonna discover how to do it both the Martin Scorsese high budget way. By 1990 was a major force, so he could afford to spend that money. Or what do you do if you have very little money and you want to recreate the same effect? How do you scale it down in a different context? You got to change everything and then still make it sell. So we're gonna do what is there first. So what's there is this absolutely fabulous scene where there's this mobster guy connected to the mobster world, and then there is this date, and then they travel in. So the usual route is all blocked. So they travel in through the back gate, and as they go, they just reek of money and access. So they go in and they travel around through alleys and then through the kitchen as they say hi, as a lot of people seem to recognize these two people who are traveling. And then they go in between the kitchen and all that. And then finally, in a room that is so full, a new table is brought in and put in for them, and as they go, the chairs magically appear, as often they do when there's a rich enough mobster in the house. And then they sit, and the performance of the day, they straight away start acknowledging the two people here, and that's how the scene goes. The purpose of the scene is to show the access, the power this guy has to enter through the back door of this restaurant and get a seat, this absolutely loaded restaurant. So how powerful he is. So the scene is really about access, power, using which the girl is impressed. Okay, so that's it. That's like the fundamental premise of the scene: access, power, and a girl that is impressed. Okay, so let's just look at what happens when we in the scene. So we're gonna like place it underneath and look at it. So okay, all these extras, there must be at least like 100 extras in the scene. So I'm gonna go with 100 extras, and that would cost. So this is a cost breakdown that we are doing. That would cost about anything, and in such a setting, even if I were to make it local, even if I keep it on a lower end, 1,000 into 100 would be 1 lakh just for the extras on a lower end. And then the location, if you were to pick a club and then, take access of the club from the back door and all that, that a club like that, I'm estimating that at 2 lakhs. I mean, using my own experience from Psych Siddhartha, where we kind of had a location logged for a club, we had to pay upfront 2 lakhs, and in case we don't destroy any property on the set, we get to like take back a good sum of it. But yeah, that is usually I had to pull a lot of strings, thanks to some of the connections the cast members had, but otherwise I would guess at least 2 lakhs for that. And then there is a soundtrack that plays, which is pretty popular, and that I don't even know how much it's gonna cost. If you were to get it composed, it'll be about equally compelling. A song would at least, I'm just gonna put that at 1 lakh, and that's like a reasonable music director. It will be much higher, and if you have to take rights, that could go much higher. So I'm just gonna also leave it at a question mark, because if you're gonna take a really popular number and piss a big major music director off, that could run up to quite a bit. And then you have all the location, and then technically I'm gonna pin that whole lighting setup and the camera moving and all that. I'm just gonna put it together at, okay, this is the part that can be quite, if they had just used regular lights that are already there with a few additions, that would be different. But in this case, I believe they used a lot of film light. Back in the day, it was hard lights, and the cameras had a fixed ISO owing to the real light sensitivity, blah blah blah. Okay, lot of technical things. I'm gonna pin it at a minimum of 3 lakh, just for the technical stuff. It can get lower. I also believe you can pull it off at 2. 2 is a pretty decent number too. So we can actually like lock it down at 2 instead of 3. Yeah. And these are thumb rules I picked up from the industry, traveling through studios, into studios, out of studios. It's my favorite little hobby. But yeah, so these are some of the things, and then I'm just gonna like principal cast, and I'm assuming they're already paid for. So at least on that day, even if you don't have, depends on the scale of the cast that you have. I'm still gonna peg it at least 1 lakh, assuming it's, I'll just round it up nicely. So that's 1 plus 2, 3 plus 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 lakhs, and I gotta add costumes. So that will be including everything. I'm gonna guess. Okay, if we just were to rent out all of the stuff for a day, that's still gonna be pretty hefty at 30K. And I'm being a little on the reasonable end. So I think pretty much. And then there's the props, which is all the alcohol bottles filled with water and all that jazz, just to like put all that together and make the whole scene believable. That itself, including rentals, another 30K at least, and that's if you have a reasonably good deal. So I'm gonna peg it together at another lakh, because there are a lot of another stuff. So I'm gonna add an additional cost of 1 lakh. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Around 8 lakhs to do it, at least at the level of Martin Scorsese. uh, in an Indian Tollywood setup, 8 lakhs for that day is what I see. It can also be done by reducing on some of the. If you were to use, uh, you can kind of save up on the location if you have good connections, and you can technically bring it down. So I'm also guessing it can also be a similar effect. If you are being a little smart about it, you can easily save 3 lakhs there, and you can kind of wrap a similar scene in 5 lakhs. Like I would totally be able to like get that scene done in 5 lakhs, uh around about. And then what do you do if you have much lesser budget? What is the zero budget way? Firstly, I want to tell you there is no such thing as zero budget. uh I didn't even count for food and drink for the actors in the last thing. I didn't count for stay, location, caravan. So there are a lot of budgetary requirements that you cannot avoid. Like, what are you going to do? Ask them to like breathe air? Hey, ఇవాళ లంచ్కి ఆక్సిజన్ పెడుతున్నాం, అట్లా అవ్వదు కదా. So you gotta spend on the food, even if you're not spending and getting someone else to spend, it is still being spent. So there's no true zero budget. Someone's always bringing food, so you can always like get people to bring food, have food cooked as opposed to being bought. You can plan these things out. uh, so all that considered, if you were to like do a zero budget approach, I will look back at the scene again. So this is the scene where all of this is happening. So I'll do my version of it where, okay, there is a guy and a girl. Okay. And because it's my version, I'll like go a lot more. So there's a guy and a girl. And I would probably pick a location that I have straight up access to. And I'm going to give you a solution which you can pull off. Okay. Before I break this down, I can tell you the same scene, this scene, which is literally a heavy setup, can also be done in just 1 lakh as well. Like, you gotta, if you're really good social skills and like have the right way to like market and sell the project, sell the dream, pull the right strings, you can do it at 1 lakh as well. All right. So there's no, like, if you pull enough strings, you can do it at no budget as well. That's what I mean to say. What's the cost of shooting in your own house? It's nothing for you, but maybe like a lakh for somebody else. Depends on how big of a house you have. If you live in Falaknama Palace and you happen to own that property, you can get like a crore of value just by shooting where you live. And in case you live in Falaknama Palace, please get in touch, comment below. I will run to you and pitch a story to you. All right. While we are at that, how to do a zero budget approach of the same thing. So let's look at the basics. It's power, access and a girl who has to be impressed looking at both of that. Okay, those are the key elements. So I'm just gonna pick something that I like, which is a basti, which can turn this way, this way, this way, this way, and then finally, like this, turn this way, this way, this way, and finally end up at a bit of a. I require a final destination. I would probably make it like a community event that is happening where some choir singers have come. So I'm just placing them, they sing to this. And there's a lot of crowd already seated. ఓకే. ఆ గల్లీలో పెద్ద మనిషి ఎవరో ఎవరో పెద్ద దాదాదో ఎవరిదో ఫంక్షన్ అయితుంది. ఆర్ సమ్ ఎమ్మెల్యే హూ లివ్స్ దేర్ వాళ్ళది అయితుంది పెద్ద ఫంక్షన్. And they have to go through all of this. So along the way, what are the elements that I have in a street? I have a pani puri bandi, straight up my favorite. Always use the pani puri bandi. Okay. Ante if you look at Goodfellas, as he goes, a lot of people are like saying hi, 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 hi. Please welcome. నీ పైసలు అంటే నాకు చాలా ఇష్టం. ఐ మీన్ నువ్వంటే నాకు చాలా ఇష్టం. హాయ్ 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 అని చెప్పి లాస్ట్కి ఈడ కూర్చోబెట్టి ఈయన కూడా హాయ్ అంటాడు. So it's a number of times you reaffirm his access and power. So what is it on the street? There's a pani puri bandi which can do hi. అన్న అన్న ఇగో తీసుకోండి అన్న మీకోసం కొత్తది ట్రై చేస్తున్నాం. ఇగో ఈమెకివ్వు ట్రై చేయి ఏం కాదు అని చెప్పి ఇక్కడ ఒకటి అవుతుంది. దట్స్ చెక్ పాయింట్ 1. దెన్ దెర్ ఇస్ హౌసెస్. సో ఒక హౌస్ బాల్కనీ నుంచి ఒక హాయ్ వస్తుంది. ఏ నీ కొడుకే కదా. షీఈస్ ప్రాబ్లీ ఫీడింగ్ దట్ గై. సో హాయ్ చెప్పు అంకుల్కి హాయ్ చెప్పు. సో షీ కుడ్ బి లైక్ అన్నకి హాయ్ చెప్పు, దాదాకి హాయ్ చెప్పు, హూఎవర్, సోనుకి హాయ్ చెప్పు, ఓకే, టిల్లుకి హాయ్ చెప్పు, వాట్ ఎవర్, ఇట్ డజంట్ మ్యాటర్. సో దట్స్ అనదర్ చెక్ పాయింట్ దేర్. సో యాజ్ యూర్ గోయింగ్, definitely more kids running around as they. I like to show kids. I think kids are very impressionable. జగడం మూవీలో కిడ్స్ అందరికీ వాళ్ళ తమ్ముడు కూడా చెప్తుంటాడు మా అన్న పెద్ద దాదా అది ఇది అని. అండ్ కిడ్స్ ఆల్సో లైక్ రన్ బిహైండ్ హిమ్ అండ్ హి బికమ్స్ అ హీరో అమాంగ్స్ కిడ్స్. సో కిడ్స్ ఆర్ ఆల్సో రన్నింగ్ బిహైండ్. వీడు కొన్ని డబ్బులు ఇస్తాడు, తీసుకోండి క్రికెట్ ఆడుకోండి ఓ, బిస్కెట్లు కొనుక్కోండి ఓ అని అని చెప్పి ఉరికిపోతారు. అండ్ దెన్ పానీపూరి బండి ఒకటే వాడినాం. యాజ్ ఇట్ గెట్స్ క్లోజర్, బికాస్ దర్ ఇస్ ఆల్రెడీ అ గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్, దెర్ ఆర్ మోర్ థింగ్స్ దట్ విల్ బి సెటప్, రైట్? ఆబ్వియస్లీ అక్కడ ఇది అది పల్లీలు, మందు, బోటి కూర, అది ఇది ఫిష్ కట్లెట్ అవన్నీ ఇక్కడ హాయ్ హలోలతో లోడ్ చేస్తాం. యు గోట్ టు ఆస్క్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ గల్లీలో ఏమేమి ఉంటాయి. దేర్ మే బి లాట్ ఆఫ్ పీపుల్ హూ కమ్ అన్న మా కొడుకుకి ఒకసారి హాయ్ చెప్పండి అన్న అని చాలామంది వాళ్ళ బిడ్డలను తీసుకొని రావచ్చు ఈడ. సో ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దాట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ అండ్ యూ గో టోటల్ బస్తీ ఆన్ ఇట్. అండ్ చాలామంది యూజువల్లీ ఇన్ బస్తీస్ అరుగులు ఉంటాయి బయట, ఇల్లు ముందల అరుగులు ఉంటాయి. సో ఆ అరుగులో చాలామంది ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళు కూడా వచ్చి దే క్యాన్ షో లవ్. సో ఆల్ దిస్ లవ్ అండ్ దెన్ ఫైనలీ అక్కడ వాళ్ళకి యాక్సెస్ జరగండ్రి అని చెప్పి అందరినీ జరిపేసి క్లిక్ జరిపేసి మధ్యలో ఇట్లా సీట్ పెట్టి వాళ్ళని అట్లా కూర్చోబెట్టవచ్చు. సో అందరు చుట్టూ ఉంటారు, వీళ్ళకి మాత్రం స్పెషల్గా ఇట్లా ఒక సీట్ పెడతారు. అండ్ వీళ్ళు అనా నీ మీద ఒక పాట అని చెప్పి వాడి మీద ఒక పాట. ఇప్పుడు మన తెలుగు సినిమా కాబట్టి మనం ఆల్రెడీ ఒక పాపులర్ పాప్ కల్చర్ పాట కాకుండా ఒక ఒరిజినల్ పాట అన్న మీకోసం మీ ఫేవరెట్ పాట వదనని తీసుకొచ్చినావు అది ఇది ఇవాళ మీ ఇద్దరి కోసం అని చెప్పి ఆయనది వచ్చాడు బస్తీలో అన్నొచ్చాడు టైప్లో ఏదో ఒక రిధంలో ఆయనని హైప్ చేస్తారు వీళ్ళు. అది హైప్ చేస్తుంటే ఆమె ఇట్లా చూసి అబ్బా వీడెంత తోపుగాడు అన్నట్టు ఫీల్ అవ్వచ్చు, రైట్? దట్ వే యూ షో ద పవర్ హీ హ్యాస్, ద యాక్సెస్ హీ హ్యాస్, and that the girl has fallen for him. So I'll tell you the skills that are required here. దీనికి డబ్బు ఎంత అవుతుంది అంటే, ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ యాక్టర్స్కి మీరు సరిగ్గా మాట్లాడితే రోజుకి వీళ్ళిద్దరిని ఒక అండ్ ఆన్ లోవర్ స్కేల్ 5Kలో నిప్టాయించవచ్చు. ఓకే, అబ్సల్యూట్లీ. ఒకవేళ నువ్వు రేపు పొద్దున మణిరత్నం అంత పెద్ద డైరెక్టర్ అవుతావు అని నీకు తెలిస్తే నువ్వు అబ్సల్యూట్లీ ఫ్రీగా చేయాలి ఆమె, బికాజ్ యు ఆర్ దాట్ గ్రేట్ డైరెక్టర్. I'm not telling cut people short, but I'm also saying, in fact, a lot of production houses don't pay the actors, and that's totally fine. It's a two-way street. తెలిసే చేస్తారు. సో వీళ్ళిద్దరికి 5K. ఈ పానీపూరి బండికి ఒక 500 ఇస్తే వాడు చాలా ఖుష్. ఓకే, సో ఈ ఎక్స్ట్రాస్ అందరికీ ఒక ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ ఐ వేర్ టు లైక్ గో kids ki actually 20 rupees maza packets, they're very happy. And kids are so helpful on set more than anything else. Often when I go to a set and do improv shoot, it's the kids who come running up and say, we want to help you, we want to help you. అన్న నా షార్ట్ పెడతావా, నీకేం కావాలి, గమ్ము తీసుకురావాలన్నా, మా ఇంట్లోంచి ఒక ఫ్లవర్ పాట్ తీసుకురావాలన్నా. సో యాక్చువల్లీ బ్రింగ్ ఆల్ దిస్ ప్రాప్స్ అండ్ ఆల్. సో కిడ్స్ ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ యాక్చువల్లీ బీ జనరస్ అండ్ సే అట్లీస్ట్ స్పెండ్ 1K, 1.5, ఐమ్ గోన్ గో అండ్ సే 2K. సో అక్కడ 7K అయింది. సో ఇంకేం బండ్లున్నాయి, ఇంకొక కొన్ని బండ్లున్నాయి, జస్ట్ బండ్లకు ఒక 2K అనుకుందాం. ఆ? బండ్లన్నీ దాటి వెళ్తుంటే బండ్లు ఆర్ వాటెవర్, అక్కడ సాఫ్టీ బండి, ఐస్ క్రీమ్ బండి, సోడా బండి, అవన్నీ దాటి దానికి ఒక 2K పెడదాం. ఈ బండ్లన్నిటికి ఎంత, కిత్నా మామ, 2K. దట్ షుడ్ మోర్ దాన్ టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ థింగ్స్. అండ్ దెన్ దే ఆర్ దీస్ పీపుల్ హూ ఆల్సో ఇనాక్ట్. ట్రస్ట్ మీ, ఇఫ్ యూ స్పీక్ టు దెమ్ ద రైట్ వే, నువ్వు కెమెరా పెట్టినావు అంటే ఆటోమేటిక్లీ వాళ్ళు వచ్చి హెల్ప్ చేస్తామంటారు. బట్ ఐ వుడ్ సజెస్ట్ దట్ యూ పే దెమ్ అ లిటిల్, 100 each, 200 each. So I would say another 2K for that. 2K for adults, 2K for bundis, and then 2K for kids. And what's left? Is stage setup, and we'll do a really low cost version of this at the end. And oka table, and ikkada janalu. ఈ జనాలు కూడా ఈ 2Kలో వచ్చేస్తారు. Like you just ask them to come at the right time and say, we'll give you per head 150, 200, please help us. This is all we can pay in the moment. So నేను కొసరు ఇంకొక 2K వేస్తా మీద. So let's just look at that. That's like 5K, 2K for కొసరు, 2K for kids, 2K for the Bundy guys. Okay. 5K for the cast. And then కొసరులో వీళ్ళది యాడ్ అయిపోతుంది. So that's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I would round it up to, for a shot that is ambitious, I would actually, so this can be done in about 11 to 12K. And I am not kidding, that's very doable. I would say 15 is a good number to go with, because there's also crew and food and all that. 15 is a good number to pull it off. And I would totally suggest this as the right budget to shoot this whole sequence. In case you're making a prototype, or in case you are trying to really cut it short, it can be done in 15K. I would really suggest you don't try to make it lower. If you were to make it lower, ఈ లాస్ట్ స్టేజ్ సెటప్ ఏదైతుందో, you gotta probably let that go, or you gotta use the same extras running back as the principal cast is traveling itla. The same extras also run and become part of the crowd there. సో అట్లా కట్ షాట్ చేసి దీన్ని 15Kని 10Kలో కూడా చేయొచ్చు, ఇఫ్ యు ఆర్ రియలీ స్మార్ట్ అబౌట్ ఇట్. బట్ ఐ రియలీ థింక్ సీన్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ స్టాచర్ అండ్ సంథింగ్ లైక్ దిస్. అండ్ obviously if I get the kids, I'll try to do a joke here with the kids, with the pani puri guy. So it's a lot of multiplicity rather than just hi. I would also hi as in, rather than just saying hi Anna, I would do stuff with them, right? And I would like make the scene very vibrant. So I would say 15K is a good budget, including crew lunches and all that. I'm just considering that we're not considering the payment of the crew that day. Basic equipment, I would load up some lights here towards these people. Okay, maybe some lights there. Rest of it, I would make sure that we have a reasonably well lit street. Also, if you really want to cut down on lights, there's really ఇంత థిన్ ట్యూబ్ ఉంటుంది, కానీ లైట్ మాత్రం సూర్యుడు అంత ఇస్తుంది. దిస్ 500 వాట్, 1000 వాట్, గాడ్ డామ్ ఇట్ వాట్, ముట్టుకుంటే బాల్కనో కంటే వేడిగా ఉంటుంది టైప్ లైట్స్, విచ్ ఈస్ వాట్ పీపుల్ యూజ్ ఫర్ ఈవెంట్స్ లైక్ దాట్. అండ్ దే కమ్ రీజనబ్లీ ఇన్ఎక్స్పెన్సివ్, సో యూ కెన్ లైక్ జస్ట్ arrange them. They kind of look like that. I'm trying to do a perspective, but from the side they look like that, I think. So where you make it a 3D sketch, it kind of looks like that. And then you take it and plug it in, and it really blows a lot of light. So in a setting like this, it's not wrong to use loud lights, which just throw light. So 15K is a decent budget. I think you can do this very comfortably in 20K. And that is a reasonably good breakdown. A lot of this depends on you having good social connections, if you or just social skills as well. If you do not have the right approach to executing this, it could run into several lakhs even in a basti setup, just because you weren't careful enough, or you didn't know how to like cut costs. Ideally, on a day when I have budget, this is also something that you can pull off in 30-40K. I For studio projects, I highly recommend having anything from 80K to 1 lakh as a per day shooting cost, including everything. So these are some tidbits for you to understand about how funding works. The rest is just how well you pull things off and how you reinterpret your limitations. And that's the episode.